Now for the review of Eminem Stans. First, I went to the movies and wasn't expecting to pay $23 per ticket. Brought my brother along, hit him up. Was like, hey, you want to check out this Eminem Stans documentary? Like, cool. We go there. We get to, pay an astronomical amount of money. I end up getting a drink and popcorn just because I don't go to the movies often. Last time I was in the movies is probably 2019, maybe 2021. I don't know, but it was a long time ago, right? I don't really go to the movies like that anymore. There's really not much to watch that I really care to go and see. Actually, the last time I was in the movies was The Sound of Freedom. That was the last Sound of Freedom. That was the last movie I saw. When did that come out? July, actually, 2023. So 2023 is the last time I was in the movie. So roughly 2 years, right? So I'm like, all right, let's go get the tickets. Let's go. We head there, start the movie. It starts out with this Eminem quote of like, hey, I love you fans. If it wasn't for you guys, none of this would be possible. Cliche stuff like that. And then it starts out with Eminem walking, and he's like walking through these rooms, and then he sits down, and you can tell it's like an interview, where he's sitting down in the chair, the lights are on you, and then it gets into this whole kind of timeline of Eminem's life, but it's mixed in with the fans and how much Eminem's life have impacted them. And so I'm going to give my pros, right? These are the good things about the documentary that I really, really enjoyed. One, the quality is there. Like, there's nothing that I complained quality-wise. Like, you can tell that it didn't just, like, half-ass this documentary just to get money or, they actually took time out to, properly edit, properly execute the storyline of what's going to happen. Quality is there. Is it worth going to the movie theaters to watch it? That's a huge argument. Like, it could have been released on Netflix or whatever, and it would have been more worthy, I guess, on there than movies. But, it was there for a weekend. I was like, why not? I haven't been to movies in a while. Why not go? So, movie theater quality-wise, not really there, but it's very good. Very well done. Now, what I was expecting with this documentary is that it was going to be mainly focused on Stans. Like, it was going to be led with the Stans, and they would, because, it's Stans in the documentary, they would, it would be mainly interviews of people, who love Eminem, who's a stan of Eminem, right? And it was that. But here's what surprised me. It was a good balance of, like, Eminem's perspective on things and his story on things and him revealing a little bit, more information of his life. And then it was the Stans, like, kind of, their perspective from a fan's perspective of how they felt. And the cool thing was, like, there was timelines. Like, it would show 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002. And they would show, like, these timelines, mainly, like, significant moments, right? It would not go to, like, the moments that people don't really care about. Like, it got to the moments of 2000, I think 1999, 2000, because 2000 is when Eminem wrote Stan. And they actually showed, which is interesting, they showed some behind-the-scenes footage of Stan being shot. I don't know if it's available on YouTube. I know there's like an MTV or something like that where they show a little bit behind the scenes, but this is like high quality HD, like 4K, where Eminem's like writing, in the music video. So they show a little bit like behind the scenes, which I really appreciate because that's really, really rare footage. And for them to pull that up and show us, really cool. So that's because I made the Give Rich Die Trying documentary, and I had some really, really rare footage in that documentary that Sha Money gave me. So to me, that's a huge thing. Like, from somebody who makes documentaries to watch it, I pick up on a lot of these things of what they did. So I really appreciated that. So the execution was really well done. But this is where my execution problem was at, right? So quality-wise, great there. Execution's great. There's a good balance of Stans and Eminem. And Dr. Dre was there in the documentary, Jimmy Iovine, LL Cool J, a writer who ended up interviewing Eminem in like 2000, 1999, somewhere around there. He's like a staff writer for a magazine. I forget which one. He talks about like Eminem's journey. And that's really about it. There's no 50. They mentioned 50 briefly of the anger management tour, and they show him when in 2006 when Eminem was struggling to answer questions because of his drug addiction, how drugged out he was. They showed that part. But really, there's no 50 in there. He just briefly mentioned him. And what I enjoyed was, like, during the drug part moment, it showed, like, what Eminem was battling through. And then it mentioned the Proof's death. They went into detail with that and how Eminem handled that and how he was going through a bunch of problems and almost died. And then they get to the relapse. And Eminem kind of shits on the album, and they talk about like the accent and all this stuff, and that's my favorite Eminem album of all time. Now that I really thought about it over the years, so Eminem kind of he kind of doesn't really shit on it, but he just kind of brushes it off, and then they show like Recovery 2010 and his comeback moment. And the cool thing about the Recovery moment is they show like behind the scenes footage of the Recovery shoot for the album cover, which was cool. Again, I really love that type of stuff. Yeah, but the stands in this documentary are insane. One guy literally started taking drugs because Eminem was taking drugs. One guy took out school for like 3 months because Proof died. Like my father would literally kick my ass if I ended up being depressed, not going to school because of some random celebrity's friend dying. Like, I get it. You get connected. Like, this is why I'm saying I'm not a 50 Cent stan or a stan of any celebrity. Because I've never done that. I don't go astronomical crazy levels of like loving 50 and being like, oh my God, I'm gonna get 50 tattoos. Like, there's a stan on there that has tattoos all over her body of Eminem. Like, faces of Eminem all over her body. Like, I would never do that. And I think, and this is not to disrespect these people in this documentary. I don't want this to come off as disrespectful. But I think becoming a stan is you struggling with your own identity as a person. I think that's the only way you can become a stan. That you idolize somebody else's identity so much that you want to be them. So you just do everything you can to engulf yourself in everything that they do and support everything that they do. Because me personally, I love who I am as a person. I would never trade it for anybody else. I have my own identity. Of course, meeting 50 Cent would be one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. I would love to interview him, but I don't sit here and I'll go crazy. And if I met 50, I'll lose my mind and faint and cry. And I might end up crying a little bit because, hey, it's 50 who's motivated me to do a lot of stuff. But other than that, like, I've never sat there and been like, I'm gonna get tattoos of 50 all around me. I'm gonna go shoot shit up because 50 said I'm gonna, I've never taken it to that level of things. And I don't think anybody should. It's unhealthy. There's a certain extent where it just goes too far. And some of these stands, yeah, it's just too far. Like that guy taking 3 months off of school because Proof died. Like, you don't even know Proof. Like, yeah, it's a sad situation, but you don't fucking know Proof. He died. It sucks. Move on with your life. You have nothing to do with Proof. He doesn't know you. So that kind of, the stand part of it kind of turned me off a little bit because some of them took a little too far. But that's what the point of the documentary is. I was expecting that, so I didn't really complain about that. That's not like a con in this. It's not like a negative thing of this documentary. I expected that. I was expecting, honestly, more of the stand stuff. I was expecting more crazier stuff to be on there, and there wasn't. There was a good balance of Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, Eminem, the news article guy, and then the stands like intertwining with each other. So I really enjoyed it, and that, just the way it was executed, it was really well done. My biggest issue with this documentary, I would have gave this documentary like a 9.5 out of 10, almost 10 out of 10. But I'm knocking it down 2 points because of this, because this is a huge thing to me that really disappointed me. Throughout the documentary, they tease to these stands and to us as an audience that Eminem is going to meet them, right? And he's going to surprise them, and they're going to go crazy, and it's going to be cool, and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a heartfelt moment, all that. Throughout the documentary, Eminem doesn't meet any of them. Like one of the female that had all the tattoos of Eminem, she's like sitting in like a coffee shop or a restaurant. I think a restaurant that Eminem used to work at when he was younger. And they like pan the camera to this like black SUV that's driving by. So in your mind, you're thinking that's Eminem. He's going to pull up. She's going to go crazy. And it's going to be a cool like moment. None of that happens. Like Eminem doesn't meet anybody in this documentary besides one guy who ended up meeting Eminem in 2013. So not in the documentary. He met Eminem in 2013 when he was hanging outside, and Eminem saw him and was like, come here, and blah, blah, blah. He got a quick chance to take a photo and sign, blah, 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 and then dipped. So that guy got to meet Eminem, but it wasn't in the documentary. So that, to me, docks 2 points off this documentary. It's an 8 out of 10 because you're teasing that throughout the whole documentary, and it doesn't happen. And I think it's very disappointing for like, these people got selected to be in this documentary, which is very cool. Why not? These are stans. They're huge fans of it. Why not have them meet Eminem? Like, why not put that in there? Why not have them meet Eminem? Now, They could have met Eminem after the documentary, outside of the documentary. That's a huge possibility. I don't know. So I'm not attacking Eminem for not doing it. He might have met them after the documentary, but it would have been really cool to include that in the documentary because they were teasing at that, and it would have been just a great moment. As a fan of 50, if I'm in a 50 Cent documentary talking about him, I do expect to meet the motherfucker. I would be pissed if I didn't. It's like, what the fuck am I here for? Just to talk about how much I support him? Like, it's a stupid thing, but it is what it is. I think that's the main disappointing thing, and it's a huge thing. But other than that, very well executed. I'm definitely going to watch it again because I did miss some stuff, so whenever it comes out on streaming platforms, I'm going to check it out again. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. I think it's done in theaters. It was for like a weekend. So if you haven't seen it in theaters, all good. Check it out on streaming. Worth the watch, in my opinion. I knew all the stuff in the documentary, though. A lot of the shit, probably like 80% I already knew. 20% was like new information, but everything, Eminem's timeline in his story. Most people know it if you're a fan. But yeah, that's my review of it. 8 out of 10. Great execution. That part of not, meeting the stands, huge disappointment. That should have been included in there, especially because they were teasing it. If they didn't tease it, I'd give a little leeway and say, 9 out of 10, but 8 out of 10 because they were fucking teasing it and it didn't happen. So yeah, that's my review of STANS. Check it out if you haven't.